Hi, I'm your host, Kelly Jo, and this is the Nourished Motherhood Podcast, a show dedicated to bringing together the voices of motherhood and helping women connect with others and themselves through the power of sharing honest, vulnerable stories. Because every woman deserves to have a place where her voice is heard. We believe that supporting mothers is one of the healthiest things we can do for our society. There's a balance of beauty and grit to be found in every woman's story. And we're so honored you're here to listen, connect, and grow with us. Let's dive in. Have you ever put on a brave face where you look good on the outside, but on the inside your world is coming down? But no one knows it because you do such a good job hiding it out of fear that you might look weak or crazy? If so, you're not alone, and you're really going to resonate with Katie's story and journey into motherhood. Born and raised in Michigan, Katie has been able to combine her desire to have a creative outlet and her passion to help women feel beautiful, seen, and heard through her own business running a hair salon. Katie is a mom to two beautiful children, and while her daughter is in full toddler mode, busy discovering the world, Katie is soaking up all the baby snuggles she can get with her 6-month-old son. Katie has a love for natural health and wellness, and her husband love farming and working with horses. They're currently remodeling an old farmhouse and attached salon so she can resume her love of connecting with women and styling hair. Come learn and hear how she's both embraced the beauty of motherhood and stepped out with courage to ask for help when her world was caving in. Are you excited as I am? Let's do this. I am so honored to share this brave and vulnerable conversation I had with Katie with you. Hi, Katie. Welcome to the Nourished Motherhood Podcast. I'm so excited to have you here, and I'm really looking forward to our conversation today.
Hi, Kelly. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. So for those of you listening, Katie and I are friends, but we've actually never gotten to meet in person. So I think was it about a year ago now?
Yep.
Yeah, about a year ago. So your sister-in-law actually introduced us, thought we would connect well, and we became fast friends. Yeah. But I would say it's about once a month we connect over the phone, and, we both have a passion for business, for motherhood, for health and wellness. And so I've been so encouraged by our friendship, and something I'm always telling other moms or new moms is find your tribe, find those people and women who inspire you, can support you. And that's what I feel like with us. It's we've never met face to face, but we've been able to really be there and encourage one another. So I am really just excited to have this conversation with you today.
Yeah, so am I.
Well, for those listening, can you tell us, where are you? What does life look like? We'd love to hear more about you.
So I am currently living by Grand Rapids, Michigan with my husband and my 2 children. I'm actually not from this area. I'm from Southern Michigan down by Jackson. And my sister-in-law that introduced me to you, Kelly, also introduced me to my husband. She's really good at doing that.
She's awesome. Yeah.
Yes, she's awesome. And my husband and I hit it off. And so we got married, and I moved up closer to the Grand Rapids area, and we started our family. We have 2.5-year-old daughter named Lydia. And now we have a almost 6-month-old son named Wrigley.
Oh my gosh. Is he already 6 months? That's hard to believe.
It's going on 6 months. I can't believe it. He's a little roly-poly of a little guy, but he is so fun.
He's so cute too. Oh my goodness.
Thanks.
Oh, that's so fun. So, okay. So a 2.5-year-old, a 6-month-old. Wow. You've got your hands full.
Yes. I worked quite a bit before my daughter was born. And then I didn't work as much after she was born. And then with Wrigley, I made a decision to put off work. We actually moved, a month or 2 before he was born, and we moved into a 1960s fixer-upper. So we had 7 weeks to redo the house before he came, and the kitchen sink actually got put in the week that he came home. So the salon is actually not built yet, but I think it's kind of worked its way for the best. And I've really been able to just enjoy the 2 kiddos and, give them my full attention. And yeah, it's been great. They are so much fun. And I thank the good Lord for them every day that he blessed me with them. So,
what's something about motherhood you really look forward to every day right now?
So I love getting them out of bed. They are so much fun, whether it's in the morning or after nap time. They're just rested and rejuvenated, and they're happy to see me. They have this great big smile. and it just brightens my day. And then now with my 2.5-year-old, she's learning constantly. And so I love seeing the wheels spinning in her little brain when she's figuring out something new, or when she just put 2 and 2 together with something. And then my son, he's starting to really giggle at stuff. And so
baby giggles, those are the best.
Yeah. So if I do something and he starts giggling, I just go with it, and he'll be going for a good 5 minutes or something. So
oh, that's awesome. So magical. So you said salon. So you have a background as a hairstylist, right?
Yes. So I've been doing hair for about 14 years going on. Yes. It's always been a passion of mine. I love doing hair and the creative outlet that it brings, but the main reason why I went into doing hair was because I love helping other people mainly women, feel great and beautiful about themselves. So yeah,
I love that.
It was one of those things. I wanted to go into psychology, but I got my license so I could go through however many years of college. And immediately I had people sitting down in my chair telling me their problems. And I'm like, well, why do I need to go to college if they're sitting down in my chair, or if I'm listening to and helping them to feel better about themselves, or, whatever they have going on. So it was a really good fit. So
that's so beautiful. I feel like we really underestimate, people in the service industry, especially, in the beauty industry, because you do, right? You get to hear people's life story, and then you have such an opportunity to speak life and to love and just to be a source of listening. And I think it's just so powerful. And, there's so many voices in our world too, as women, right? Saying, you got to look a certain way, or this YZ, or be ashamed of this aspect of who you are. And to be able to take someone's own natural beauty and just highlight that. I just think that's a really cool to hear your heart behind it.
Yeah.
How cool. So tell me, did you always want to be a mom? Was that always on your heart? Or what was your journey like into motherhood?
Yeah. So I was thinking about this earlier, and I know I always wanted to be a mom. I had the baby dolls and, the baby bunk beds and, the high chair and a little spoon with the food that would spring back, when you're feeding your baby doll. So I know that I wanted to, to be a mom. And then I remember, when you're graduating high school, you always do like the 5-year plan or the 10-year plan. And I remember it was gonna be married and have kids by the time I was 25.
Ooh.
Yeah. So right after high school, I started looking for my husband.
That's awesome.
And he did not come.
Ooh.
No. So it was one of those things that I knew I wanted to be a mom, but the good Lord, I had a lot more work to do in order to prepare me to be a mom. So it would be about 8 years later. I think I was about 26 when I met my husband. And at that point, I had done a lot of traveling. I had moved across the country and then back. So I had done a lot, and I moved back, and I was like, okay, I think I'm ready to settle down now. I think this could be for real now. Because before, I thought I was ready, but then really I wasn't, So I met my husband, and let's see, just over a year later, we were married. And then a year after that, we were blessed with our daughter, Lydia.
Wow, that was fast.
It was. Yes. We were very excited and thankful for that.
Wow. Now, were you guys trying? Was she like a surprise? What was that journey like?
So I had gone through some health issues when I was younger. When I was in my early 20s, I found out that I had colitis.
Wow.
So I knew that there was something going on with my digestive system and that kind of thing. And then since about 14, I had really bad menstrual cramps and really bad stomach aches. And so it was kind of like it was one of those things where I should have gone to see like a nutritional therapist or a dietitian or a nutritionist, but I just never did. So I really struggled with that kind of thing. So before I got married, I actually went to see a naturopathic doctor, and she introduced me to the Swami, the genetic-based nutrition. And essentially before that, I had actually gone to another naturopath she was kind of right in a couple aspects where she told me I had an allergy to dairy and to gluten. Well, that was like essentially almost all of my diet, cheese and cheese sticks and yogurt and bread, which now I'm learning isn't the healthiest diet after all. So anyway, I had lost a lot of weight. And when I had gone to see the second doctor, I had lost my bone mass.
Wow.
A lot of my bone mass. Yeah. So with the SWAMI, the genetic based nutrition, they were able to run tests, and I was actually able to eat some cheese and, some dairy. So she said, before you get pregnant, you definitely want to get your bone mass up. So I think it was more of a stress with that, getting my bone mass up, because I wanted to be a healthy mom. I wanted to have a healthy pregnancy. So there was that little stress. And then I don't know if it's everyone else or if it's just me, but in the back of my mind, deep down, I was worried that I wasn't going to be able to get pregnant for some reason or another. I had worked in the salon with a stylist who was never able to get pregnant. And that was really sad, watching her go through, test after test or, trial after trial and not. So anyway, in the back of my mind, I was always worried. So we didn't get pregnant on the first try. I do know people that have, and so like once I don't know if you have this, but if you don't, then you're like, oh no, am I going to, it's that fear in the back of your mind. And I don't know if we can say this on here, you can cut this out later if you need to, but I had a friend that told me that she talked to me about counting, and I was counting. She's like, don't count. She's like, that takes all the fun out of it. Just try every day and don't worry about it. And so the minute that I stopped worrying about it and counting, and that was actually when we became pregnant. So.
Wow, that's really powerful. That's a common story, right? People undergoing who are having fertility challenges, and as soon as they, it's the week for their treatment, they just conceive. Now for others, it's still a really long process, but I think we underestimate the role of stress and how much stress and anxiety play. So I think that's really fascinating just to hear that reflected in your own story.
Yep. So,
wow. So you guys found out you were pregnant. How was that pregnancy with Lydia?
In the beginning, obviously it's really exciting. We were super excited, but then I had about 6 weeks in, I had horrible morning sickness, like horrible. And, they tell you it's good because it's essentially your body telling you that you're pregnant and but for my husband and I, for us just being married for 3 months, and still we hadn't even known each other for 3 years at that point, so it was still, relationship was so new. It put a bit stress on that because I was so sick that like I physically could not function. It was until like, I don't know, it'd be like 10 o'clock in the morning. So essentially we had to work through it, that it wasn't my choice that I was being sick or acting sick, but we made it through.
I think that's common, right? For like our partners they don't fully understand all even just the biological processes and how that can impact us. What was helpful? Like what helped you and your husband to be able to navigate those waters and those tough conversations and assumptions?
Yeah, no, I think it was just being really transparent about the whole situation, and not like, not holding grudges against him for thinking that I was lazy but two, like being, just sitting down with him and talking to him. And I'm very thankful that the good Lord's blessed me with a man that like, he'll sit down and talk about issues and problems with me, because we just had to talk about things, and that really helped, to get everything out on the table. And like, how are you feeling? How am I feeling? Because it's a new and exciting experience, and you want it to, there's going to be things that come up, and you don't know until you don't know how the other person feels until you actually talk to them about it. So,
yeah, I think that's such a good point you make I think we often, where we get in the pitfall is when we assume the other person like just knows what we're thinking or what's going on. And then that creates this all awkward tension or unrealistic expectations. But to be able to just, like you said, have that transparency, at least I've found in my own marriage, that's been really helpful. Like, hey, bub, I'm dealing with XYZ right now, and I need this, like being able to say, like, I need you to do XYZ. And sometimes I don't know what I need, but like,
I need this, but I need something. I don't know what I need, but can you help? And yeah, but just that keeping the dialogue open, I think, kind of is what you're saying or referring to.
Right. Yep.
Wow. So did you stay sick your whole pregnancy, or was that just isolated to that first trimester?
Yep. Just in the beginning, I think it lasted for about 5 weeks. So about a week 11,
Okay.
it was overdone with. And then after that, like, it was one of those things that I became pregnant, and I'm going to backtrack a little bit. I remember working in the salon. This was before I moved cross country, and thinking like, is this it, Lord? Like, you know, cause I had a full clientele, and don't be wrong. Like, I was blessed to have my job and my clients and everything, but it was just like the same thing day in, day out. You know, I was ready for something more. And I was like, is this it, Lord? Is this it? I remember telling, actually, I think it was my sister-in-law, that like, you know, I've traveled and I've moved and I've done however many different jobs and gone however many different places, but becoming pregnant, like, I felt like I had fulfilled my, you know, after, you know, meeting my husband and getting married, and then we became pregnant together, and like, I had fulfilled my, like, what God put me on this earth to do. So I loved being pregnant. I loved every bit of it. Thankfully, I don't remember having too many aches and pains, not till the, like, you know, the very end, getting uncomfortable and stuff. Yeah. Besides that morning sickness, but no, I loved being pregnant. I think my favorite part was, you know, feeling the baby kick inside me and knowing that I was growing another human being. So
I think it's a pretty fun experience being right now. While we're having this conversation, I'm 33 weeks pregnant, and I mean, baby's just like having a heyday right now when we're talking, but it's really cool. It's this magical miracle, like, just unfolding before our eyes, right? This whole the pregnancy process. How was your pregnancy with your son different from your daughter, or were they similar?
Yep. So actually with my son, it actually went even better.
Wow.
I wasn't sick too much. I found out that, like, if I got dehydrated, that was definitely a good tip. Stay hydrated. Yeah. But with my son, I loved it. And I actually found a workout program. I think I told you about this before, but it's the Beachbody Bar Blend prenatal and postnatal. And it was just so great because, you know, when I wanted to exercise while I was pregnant, but I was always worried about doing too much, you know, in the back of my mind, like, oh, you know, what if I do too much? But like the workout that I found was prescribed for pregnant mamas. And it was so empowering to do, because I'm like, this is okay for me, you know. And then she does affirmations about, you know, just being a strong and powerful mom. And it was very motivating. And it gave me like an outlet for any of my emotions. That it really helped with that. Yeah. It did help with a lot of aches and pains, any back pain or sciatica that I had.
That's awesome. For our listeners, can you just repeat what that was?
It's the Beachbody program. It's Beachbody on Demand. You can get it. It's just an online, and they're all recorded. And It's the Bar Blend pre and postnatal.
Awesome.
And Elise Joan is the workout instructor. So
cool. Yeah, I know it's so important to stay moving and to find something that you feel good with, right? And that you can stick with. And so I'm always like looking for a new good routine to get into, or something to try even.
Well, and the funny thing is I was actually stronger when I went to deliver than I was before I started the program.
Wow.
You know, like,
awesome.
Yeah. And then I'm actually just started doing it again, even though I'm not pregnant, because I liked the results that I got from it better than one of the other ones I tried.
That's awesome. I mean, when you find something that works, you have to you got to stick with it.
You stick with it. Right.
Yeah. That's so cool. So tell me about your deliveries. Like, how did that go with Lydia? How'd that go with Wrigley?
So I was a little, I don't know, want to say if I was naive with Lydia, or I had it in my mind that like it was going to be easy with my first one. So I went in thinking that I went in with a plan, you know, and we were going to stick to that plan. And boy, did the good Lord have a different plan. So it was actually the opposite. I would say, it was not a very good experience at all. I learned from it, and that helped me have a much better experience with Wrigley, with my second one. So with Lydia, we went in the middle of the night and we got to the hospital I think it was about 3. And then my husband was in the room with me. And then my mother made it up by like 5 a.m. And then, so the contractions were ready. I was dilated to about a 5. Well, right away, the triage nurse called in a labor and delivery nurse to make sure that she had found my cervix. And so the labor and delivery nurse, who I loved at that time, she was so great. She was kind of like the hospital's version of like a midwife.
Cool.
She was fantastic. She was so enthusiastic and energetic. And anyways, yeah, we're very thankful for her. So they had a hard time finding my cervix. So anytime that they went to check me, it was very, very painful. And she was also sunny side up. They wanted me to walk to get her to rotate. But then I did not know this until we actually kind of figured it out with my second child. But we found out that muscle spasms, Charlie horses, run in the family.
Oh.
Yeah. So we didn't put 2 and 2 together until it happened again with my son. But my dad has, for as long as I can remember, has always had muscle spasms.
Yeah.
Right. At certain times, if he's doing some heavy lifting or that kind of thing. So because of the way that she was so low, the way that my hips were shaped and the way that, that my hips were spread, I actually had nonstop Charlie horses in both sides of my hips.
You've got to be kidding me. Oh my gosh.
Like they wouldn't go away. Like it was just there. Like they're just, so I couldn't walk because the muscles were not physically able. So then she wasn't moving. So then, oh goodness, we were trying everything. I wanted a natural birth. I don't know if I mentioned that, but I'm like, I was going in with the plan and we're going to do a natural birth and it's going to be great. I could go through the whole, it was in labor we went in at 3 until we finally had her at 6 p.m. that day.
Okay.
But it was kind of one of those things that I went through the whole, the contractions, and at like 11, I said a prayer and I said, if I haven't dilated anymore, if I've gone through all this pain, then let that be a sign for an epidural.
Yeah.
Because, it was just draining the energy out of me. And I'm like, how am I going to have the energy to push when right now, and you can't eat anything. And I have hypoglycemia, low blood sugar, and I hadn't ate anything. So it was one of those things that I'm like, plan's going to have to change because this is not working. My plan is not working out. So the epidural saved me. They gave it to me. I was able to, at that point, so then I could have some like chicken broth. It was the best chicken broth I've ever had in my entire life. And I took like a 3-hour nap. And when I woke up, I had dilated to an 8. They came in, they broke my water. I was at a 9. And then I was at a 10 and I was able to push, and I pushed for 30 minutes and she was out.
Wow. I think that's really like powerful. Like, I think a lot of people go in, or women, this is my plan. This is what I want. And then like your story, right? Things just go a little sideways. But I think what's cool is you were still able to have, a vaginal birth, right?
Yeah.
I think any way baby comes, when mom is safe, baby's safe. Like,
yes,
that was like, job well done, mom. Was it a struggle, like for you to process, I really wanted it this way, but it went sideways? Or were you just like happy to have a baby?
No, so I was so thankful. I kind of wish I wouldn't have been so stubborn or strong-willed about, not having an epidural. It was a good lesson to learn, but I think I'm not quite sure. Who knows if I'll ever know why, but so after Lydia was born, when she came out, I lost a lot of blood. And I think that maybe things were probably, I don't know if swollen would be a good word, or inflamed. So for whatever reason, there was quite a bit of tearing and a lot of blood loss after, to the point where I'm not quite sure why it wasn't taken into consideration for my healing, but like I lost almost half of the blood in my body.
What?
So yes. So postpartum, like I can reflect back now, because I can only imagine like what that would have done to my hormones and to like rebuilding, my body that way, like what that would have done. So I'm so thankful that I recovered, the way the way I did. I think I could have recovered better had I been more prepared for like the actual circumstances. But yeah, I was like, I was living life on high. Oh, everything's great. I had a baby. 4 weeks later, I'm trying to do hair. No, that was not a good decision. And then, so that like, oh my gosh, you never like, I love my husband, don't get me wrong, but like we both look at each other and we're like, we love her so much, when she came, you co-created that little being. And it's the most amazing feeling in the world, I think.
Yeah, it's a pretty fun act of creation. You talk about like artistry and the human, like a human being. How much more creative do you get from that? That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yep. So,
wow. What were those postpartum days like then for you? Was that like a roller coaster? I mean, first year of motherhood, I think it's one of the biggest transitions anyone could ever go through. What was that like for you?
Yeah. So it was great for like the first month or two. And of course, there's the ups and downs, but then I started dealing with I started having some panic attacks, and I didn't know what was happening at the point. I've learned a lot since then, but essentially it was like, I need to be careful about how I talk about it because I don't want it to have any power over me. It was one of those things that I think it had a lot to do with, losing a lot of blood, and then all the things that are going on with hormones after you have a baby. And I just learned this not too long ago, but like the amount of estrogen that your body creates while you're pregnant is the same amount that one woman will create in her entire lifetime not having a child. Like, yeah, I mean, 8 months.
Yeah, it's crazy what your hormones do while you're pregnant. And then coming off of that, like,
So I was in denial at first because I kind of thought, I'm like, everyone's going to think I'm crazy, or I'm not, this is crazy. Like, I was in denial, and like, I look back now and it's almost scary to think about, but like, you hear people talk about like a brain fog,
Yeah.
And it's like, I couldn't think clearly enough to be like, okay, I need to talk to someone about this, or there's nothing wrong with what's going on. This is normal. It was like that kind of thing. And I just don't think that I had heard enough people talk about it, for it to be like normal to me. I'm like, this isn't normal. And, and like I said, I was in denial. So it went on for like my daughter's, oh goodness, I would say she was over a year until I started like reaching out to people about how I was feeling, and come to find out like it's normal and that happens. And what was great for me was that I didn't realize what was going on. And what I had been experiencing, I had experienced on and off since I was like 9 years old.
Wow. So you did have a history with this then?
Yes.
Okay.
And I didn't, it was kind of on and off, like, and I had gone through it, but I never knew what it was, like I learned to live with it, or, at some point, or it would just go away. And so like postpartum, it came back like full fledged. And I'm like, I can't live life like this anymore. God doesn't want me to live like this anymore. Like, I need to talk to someone. And as soon as I did, they're like, no, like and my one sister and I was like, I just thought you were the perfect mom, because I hid it so well, like I didn't want anyone to know what I was going, like, I didn't want anyone to think I was crazy, or, like, it happens sometimes and it's okay. And like, there's help out there.
Oh my gosh. Can you just say that again? Because I think there's so many women like you who are living in isolation. They're living in fear, and they're putting on a facade, and that it doesn't make you a bad mom to struggle with anxiety or panic attacks. So can you just say that one more time?
Yeah.
That's really powerful.
It's completely normal. And there's so many women that go through it, and there's help out there, and don't go through it alone.
Oh, I'm just sorry. Like, wow, like that you went so long. Like, I'm so happy you reached out. Like, that's so brave. And like, that takes a lot of courage too.
Well, and I think it's made me stronger. And so like, knowing what I learned, and I mean, it goes back to like, like our ancestors, and, the people that were like super anxious were the ones that like kept guard at the gate of their village at night to make sure that there were no intruders, or, they're the people that, put food away for the winter to make sure that their family had enough food for the winter, like they worried about that stuff, but,
Right.
and they worried it for survival. And so it's just, it was so interesting to learn about it. And like I said, it's made me more knowledgeable. It's made me stronger having gone through what I went through. I kind of feel like it's like, what else can we conquer type deal. And then 2, I think the biggest thing, like I remember going through it and being like, why am I going through this right now? Mm-hmm. And I was involved in a Bible study at the time. And they said, someone brought up the mention that like, sometimes God puts us through things that maybe someday we can help someone through that same problem. I don't know how I'm going to get through this, but I'm going to get through this and I'm going to help someone else through it too.
Yes. No, I mean, that's so powerful. What have been tools or like people or resources that have helped you along your journey?
Yeah, so I will have to get the name of the book, but there was a book that taught me about, it goes through like the history of anxiety and like what chemicals and hormones are going on. And then honestly, just reaching out to like family members or mentors, and then my doctor, essentially just talking about it with people. And you're going to find that there's been other people that have gone through this, or they know someone that's gone through it, or they know someone that can help. Yeah, it's just, and even talking about it to my husband and just knowing that he knows what I'm going through was huge, like, and it did take me a little while to talk to him about it. Cause like I said, I was in denial, but, and not only did it, once I got through it, I was able to, cause then there was all of this anxiety about going through my second pregnancy and how that was going to go. And none of this really came to surface until I went through that pregnancy and that delivery, and it went so well that I didn't realize how bad the first one was.
Wow.
Until I had the second one.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, it's just, there's so many resources out there, from books to, even if you just do a simple Google search. I've done that so much with like postpartum and hormones and, that kind of thing. And there's so much just at the tip of your fingers. You just have to look for it.
Yeah. And I'll make sure to link up down below of this episode some resources too, because I mean, it's not uncommon for women to experience this, especially if there's a history of anxiety or depression, whether it's you or in your family, and there's no need to suffer alone and isolated. So we'll link up some resources below in the show notes as well. Oh, wow. So this postpartum journey, you're 6 months postpartum, you have more support this time around, it sounds like, and more tools in your belt. And has it been pretty good, pretty enjoyable, or has there been moments where the anxiety's flared up again, or what's kind of this round been like?
It's funny how like it's been better with 2 than it was 1, because you'd think that it would be the opposite. But I think it's just because I essentially I've been through it before, and I, like I said before, I didn't want to live like how I was living anymore. And it's kind of felt like it's all been uphill, Don't get me wrong. There's been like some staggering, some stumbles, but it's been great. And I think the biggest thing is, I've been trying to eat really, really healthy, so trying to get away from like the processed foods. So like mainly whole foods, fruits and vegetables, and then the exercise. For me, I do not like high impact or hurts my joints. I do not care to sweat that much. It's just not like I grew up in dance. I grew up in ballet. I love that type of, or yoga, that kind of thing. And that's why I like the bar blend, because it's got some, ballet moves that were kind of muscle memory there. There's so much just that 30 minutes, does for me. And if there's one thing that I can do for myself per day out of a 24-hour period, if I can take 30 minutes, sit down, stand up, do my workout, it's the endorphins, it's a stress reliever. And when I'm finding that I'm learning to channel, it kind of sounds funny, but to like essentially that anxiety that I have, I'm thinking of it as like energy. Like I've got to move and get going and do something. I've got to use it. And then like, if I can wear myself out working out, like I feel so much better. It's amazing. So and, cool. Yeah. So I would say, the eating and the exercising, those 2 things are huge. And if I can do those 2 things, then it just makes everyone's happy, like just that little bit of time that I spend on myself. If I can better myself, everyone is better off. My kids are happier. My husband's happier.
I know, right? Like it really is true. If mom's not happy, I mean, everyone suffers in the house. I mean, when I'm short or I'm impatient, oh my gosh, my husband's paying, my daughter pays for it, and then I'm like, dang it. But I think what you said was powerful of your self-care, it's eating nutritious food and it's trying to get more real food, right, into your diet, less processed food, and then taking that time to exercise. I think sometimes self-care, we think a bubble bath or maybe getting our hair done. At least there's nothing better for me than getting my hair cut and having someone else wash my hair. Like that is pure luxury.
Yeah.
But like self-care also looks like eating really quality food, like feeding your body with real food. And that makes such a difference with your mental and emotional well-being as well. And so I just think that's really powerful and inspirational for me, because I would say I eat really well, but working out is like probably where I fall short. And so, but when I am consistent, and I've noticed like in this pregnancy, just having that mind body connection is really powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. That's really cool. Well, as we're kind of like wrapping up our conversation, what's something maybe I didn't know enough to ask you that you want to share with us? It could be anything.
I wrote down a couple notes, and I guess a couple of the things that, and I don't know if I've shared this with you before or not. So there was a couple of things that one of my sister-in-laws told me that was huge. And I periodically remember that, or try to remember it, if I'm going through something. And then the other thing my doctor mentioned, and the first thing is that God chose me and no one else to be my kid's mom. Like I am the best mom for my kids. Just like you are the best mom for your kids, no one else. And that's just been such a reminder, a good, powerful reminder, because like there is some doubt going through, being a mom with younger kids. Like, am I raising them the way I'm supposed to be? Like there's just doubts. Like, am I doing everything I can for my kids? And it was just like, no, God chose me. I'm the best mom that they could ever have. And it's just been a great reminder, for when those little doubts pop up. And my doctor, I love this. There's going to be so many suggestions. People have given me so many different suggestions on ways to do things or how to do things. But the best way is the way that works for us.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah. Yeah. The best way is the way that works for me and for my kids.
Ooh, I really like that. That's really empowering, because I feel like there is so much advice. There's so much information on the internet, right? Like it's so easy to feel overwhelmed, or like, I should be doing it this way, or I should be doing it that way. But sometimes it just doesn't roll. Like there's certain things that like I've had family members say, well, you really need to be doing it this way. And I'm just like, you know what? Like it doesn't work for us. Like it might work for your family or how you've raised kids, but like, not how my kid's wired. It's not how I'm wired. And so I think that's really powerful.
Yeah.
The best way to do things is the way you do them.
For you.
That works for you. Oh, that's good. I like that. That's what your doctor told you as well, too. Because I think oftentimes, especially as women, I think we can feel sometimes disempowered in our medical system, or like belittled even. And so I've had those moments where I've had a provider talking to me about my child just as if I didn't know anything. And I'm like, I care so much about this kid. And like,
I know,
I really respect you and your opinion. But like, yeah. So I just think that's really powerful to have your doctor say, hey, I'm going to give you this advice and this feedback, but at the end of the day, what's working for you and your family, like keep doing that.
Yep. Yeah, no, that's our really doctor is great. And another story for another day, but I was not able to have him for my first pregnancy. And I think who knows how it would have gone, because I wouldn't have known then what I know now because I went through that. But having him the second time, that also really helped, finding someone that you connect with, to deliver your baby, that really meant a lot. And it really helped the second time for it to go as well as it went. So,
wow, that's really cool. Well, this has been so powerful. And I just really think Like, I just thank you for your honesty. Thank you for being bold, being vulnerable. It's not easy to say like, hey, like I struggle in this area or I've dealt with this. And I just think that's really bold and just really, it shows how much you've grown through it as well and that it has strengthened you. And I just know there's other women who've listened to this and who can identify with where you were with their own lives. And so thanks for just giving permission to like be honest, because I think what you said about being in denial, you were in denial for so long, and your story, I think it gives us permission to just take an honest evaluation at ourselves and what's going on and where we need help. And ultimately at the end of the day, the more help we can get, the more support we can get, the healthier we are, the better it's going to be for our kids, for our partner, our families. So thank you so much for just sharing your story. I know, like, if someone wants to connect in with you, what's the best place for them to do that?
You can add my email if you'd like at for the bottom of this. That'd be great. Like I said, I'm a hairstylist. I love talking to people and hearing their stories. And I honestly think that I was meant to go through what I've gone through so I can help other people. So thank you for allowing me to share my story. I think that this was huge in my healing process as well.
Oh, you're so welcome. This is a privilege for me, like to be able to hold space just to hear your story and for, like you said, to process. It's a real gift to me as well. So it's mutual. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Katie. And this concludes this episode of The Nourished Motherhood. Thank you.
Bye.
I hope you love this episode of the Nourished Motherhood podcast. If you want to stay in touch and up to date with all the happenings over at the Nourished Motherhood Collective, make sure you're a part of our email community. Head on over to our website at nourishedmotherhood.com or click the link in our show notes to get on the list.